Hello Slayers, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to Outlander recap to season 5. If you don't know, I've been doing these recap reaction commentaries for the past now 5 seasons. So if you missed it, the plan is I'm going to react to season 6 on my own, and then I'm going to react to season 7, the spin-off, and then season 8. If you'd like to join my Patreon, the free member, I'm going to start posting my reaction way earlier than when I post them to YouTube. So if you'd like to join free, I think you might even get a discount when you join free and then join, so that way you could see like when I'm gonna post. I will post it on my community page as well, so just be on the lookout, especially when I post the season 6 commentary. I should like really be in motion. This season was probably my least favorite. I still had like a good time with it, of course. I feel like I see a pattern of episode 7 of each season or most season being a very like pivotal or like good episode where like things start like turning up. So I feel like episode 7 here was kind of slow, and then episode 7 happened and I was like way more into like the second half. Not that I wasn't into it, I just feel like, I don't know, it was very slow. And this is the first time I didn't like really follow Princess Plotline. Make sure you guys follow and subscribe Princess Plotline's channel. I've been using her channel to make sure like I'm fully understanding since I've started watching it. I will link her below if you'd like to watch the recap first and then watch my commentary. She's also recapping the spin-off right now, which like I'm obviously not looking at currently, but I will. But yeah, I feel like I noticed a trend where the 7th episode things turn up. Season 1, season 2 with like episode Faith, I feel like after that it like turns up, and then this one, oh my god, episode 7, I just remembered what it was. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, it's still a very interesting season, but I would say it's probably my least. I noticed, as I've said in the last one, that a lot of people's least favorite was the 4th. If you like season 5 more than 4, I'd love for you to comment what is it about this season that you like more than 4. But yeah, I guess let's get into it. Make sure you give this a thumbs up if you're excited for my Outlander reactions. I'm super excited to start doing it. Hopefully, I mean, anything could, I guess, like flop and I stop doing it. Maybe I would stop doing it and then just react to a season 7 commentary. Who knows? I have a good feeling that these reactions may like resonate and do well on my channel. So yeah, just give this a thumbs up, share with any Outlander friends you may have, and let's get into Outlander season 5 recap. I will say this is the first time going through a season where I wasn't really following this video as I followed along, because again, I feel like things were pretty slow that I fully understood everything. So I'm interested to see through this recap if maybe I missed things, and I'm also just excited to get the recap for myself because I'm literally going to jump into watching season 6 and just feel like so fresh and stuff after having a bit of a break from the show. It's been the longest that I've watched an episode of Outlander since starting it, so I'm really excited to get back into it. Also really random, but I might even start Firefly before Outlander. It'll kind of merge into me doing it at the same time. So again, if you want to check out my Patreon, that will be there too. And I might even react to Firefly in its entirety before posting it on my channel. So again, just be on the lookout for if that's interesting to you. Okay, let's get into Outlander season 5 recap.
The last time we saw Jamie and Claire, they were at River Run with Brianna and Roger. Jamie had just received a letter from Governor Tryon, ordering him to muster an army and capture the traitor Murtaugh Fitzgibbons. Now, let's find out what season 5 of Outlander has in store for our favorite couple.
Let's do it.
We start off at Fraser's Ridge on the morning of Brianna and Roger's wedding. Claire is busy helping Bree get dressed, while Jamie gives Roger a shave with a cutthroat razor. Because let's be honest, 18th century skills aren't exactly Roger's forte. The poor guy is practically sweating bullets, desperate to prove
I think we kind of do get it, but I really hope Jamie and Roger get a full-on bond. We are gonna get to it now that I'm thinking about it, but I want more. Like, I really want them to love each other. Also, I loved this season starting out on her wedding day. That's a lot of fun, and we'll get to it. Oh, I want to talk about Lord John, but we'll get to it.
he's worthy of Jamie's daughter. He even promises his future father-in-law that he'll figure out how to make a living in this century. Over the past months, Fraser's Ridge has blossomed into a thriving community filled with settlers.
Beautiful.
Jamie and Claire now live in a new, bigger house, leaving the original cabin for Bree and Roger. Soon enough, the wedding ceremony begins. Everyone's there: Jocasta, Lord John, Lizzie, Fergus, and Marsley. The only notable absence is Murtaugh, which isn't exactly surprising, since Governor Tryon is also in attendance. During the ceremony, Claire gets a bit choked up as she recalls her own wedding vows to Jamie. The party kicks off with plenty of dancing and drinking. Everything's going perfectly, until Brianna overhears Lord John telling Jamie that Stephen Bonnet is still alive. As the night goes...
Perfect. I was so bummed for Brianna that couldn't just have that freaking day to just fully enjoy. Like, it was so sad. Later, they're like, after having sex, she's still like so freaked out about hearing about that, as she should be. But I want to talk about, okay, so I just find it interesting that we all love Lord John. I guess most of you guys commenting have read the book, but I just find it interesting that I feel like 90% of the comments I've gotten during this whole commentary reaction I'm doing series have been about Lord John and like everyone loving him, yet this guy is not even in it. I just find that so weird. I can't believe he's not a regular. Also, I know everyone like means well in the comments, but there's been kind of spoilers for me. It's kind of dramatic. If you're telling me wait till this season for this person, then like I know they're not gonna die, they're gonna be in it to the end. So just like be careful the way you like word things and just kind of comment up to this season, if that makes sense. There's been a few things that I'm like, I wish I didn't know that exactly. Same thing with the books. But yeah, the comments just make me feel like he's gonna be in it more and more, and he's like not. Hopefully season 6, and I know he's in season 7.
The newlyweds retreat to their cabin, where Roger serenades Brianna with his guitar. Then we're treated to a montage of tender moments shared by other couples. Marsley tells Fergus she's pregnant again. Murtaugh and Jocasta steal a few hours together in a shed in the woods. Claire and Jamie try to make love while babysitting their grandson Jemmy. And finally, it cuts back to Roger and Brianna passionately consummating their marriage, though Brianna can't shake the haunting thought of Stephen Bonnet. The next morning brings more surprises. Jocasta informs Murtaugh that she's received a marriage proposal from Duncan Innes, a man who was also imprisoned with Jamie and Murtaugh at Ardsmuir. Realizing they have no future together while he's a wanted man, Murtaugh tells Jocasta he won't stand in the way of her happiness.
Like,
later, Jocasta meets with Roger to let him know she's named Jemmy as the heir to River Run. She believes this will ensure Roger treats the boy well, even if they're not related by blood.
I think it's because like we don't love her, or like I don't. This was like crazy. She's taking away the money to go in Brianna's name, because if they're married, then it's like partly his. So Jeremy not being his by blood, she's being so sketchy. Like, her character is just random. Like, we're supposed to care about her, but she's like does this shit at the same time, so I don't. But I wanted to like her more. Maybe I do it towards the end. I'm like drawing a blank right now because I'm just pissed at this scene.
To let him know she's named Jemmy as the heir to River Run. She believes this will ensure Roger treats the boy well, even if they're not related by blood. Roger tells her she can keep her money and storms off to his run. Tells Jocasta he won't stand in the way of her happiness. Later, Jocasta meets with Roger to let him know she's named Jemmy as the heir to River Run. She believes this will ensure Roger treats the boy well, even if they're not related by blood. Roger tells her she can keep her money and storms off to his cabin, where he makes a blood oath.
Okay, I think I remembered that a bit wrong. It's because she does really care about Jeremy, but like, oh my god, also you guys told me that Roger has like a lot of hate. Pardon? Roger is the fucking bomb, and I love the actor. He's so much more endearing than like Brianna, because Brianna like does those annoying things where I really don't get that from Roger. Like, he's just trying to love Brianna and now his non-kid that he will treat as a true son. So I don't get the hate. I can't believe there's hate about him.
Claiming Jemmy as his son from that moment on. Meanwhile, we learn that Lizzie is head over heels for a local guy named Josiah Beardsley. Despite Josiah's reputation as a thief, Jamie hopes he'll settle at the Ridge, because they'll need skilled hunters when Jamie has to leave. In case you've forgotten, Jamie is bound by his deal with Governor Tryon. He must raise a militia and hunt down Murtaugh, or risk losing his land. With a heavy heart, Jamie dons his Highlander garb and lights the fiery cross, a traditional Scottish signal that the clan chieftain is calling his men to war. Every able man on Fraser's Ridge answers Jamie's call, pledging their loyalty. That includes Roger, now officially known as Captain Mackenzie. The next day, Jamie and...
Which was so sweet, because Roger's like not really fitting in and Jamie isn't like jiving with him either. But that moment really gave them a father-son-in-law vibe. I love that Jamie was the one to take the first step to like feel like I believe in you and like you can do this. So sweet.
And Murtaugh meet in the woods. Jamie remembers that when his mother died, Murtaugh vowed to always be by his side to take care of him. Now, he releases his godfather from that vow. It's no longer safe for Murtaugh to stay. Jamie urges him to
That was
disappear
such
to make
a
himself
sweet
impossible to find.
setup.
Murtaugh leaves, and Jamie can't hold back the tears.
Heartbreaking.
But there's no time to mope. Jamie must fulfill Tryon's orders, so he begins scouting the backcountry with Lieutenant Knox, a redcoat soldier tasked by the governor to help locate Murtaugh. Knox seems like a decent guy, but his loyalty lies with the crown, and the governor has promised him his own land grant if he captures Murtaugh, so he can't be trusted. Jamie and Knox soon learn that Murtaugh and his regulators have been wreaking havoc in a town called Hillsborough, tarring and feathering several judges and politicians. In other words, Murtaugh is doing the exact opposite.
I need a scene. This is so morbid, I guess, but I want to see Jamie really sobbing. There's a part later in this where I feel like he could have been sobbing and he doesn't. And like, I don't know why I want to see him cry, but I just want to hold him. Stop.
Opposite of what Jamie asked him to do. The Redcoats managed to capture 3 regulators, so Jamie and Knox head to the site to interrogate them. And in Jamie's case, to control the narrative, since 2 of the prisoners know him. When they refuse to reveal Murtaugh's location, Knox straight up kills one of them. Hoping to prevent further bloodshed, Jamie breaks into the jail and frees the other 2 prisoners. When Knox discovers the escape, he orders Jamie to gather a proper militia and prepare for war. Meanwhile, at the regulators' camp, the escaped prisoners question Murtaugh's loyalty. When push comes to shove, will he stand with Jamie or with them? Murtaugh doesn't hesitate. He assures them he's fully committed to the cause. Back at Fraser's Ridge, Claire is determined to prevent unnecessary deaths among the settlers. Under the pseudonym Dr.
Throughout this, the interior of this house is beautiful. I love the colors, the art direction. It is so nice. Like, I want to live here.
Rollins, she hands out healthcare tips and even tries to make penicillin, despite it being 150 years too early. She's also taking Marcelly on as her apprentice, teaching her about anatomy and surgical practices.
Side story.
Now, let's move on to Roger, who's feeling pretty useless. Bree tries to teach him how to use a rifle, with little success. All he wants is for his family to return to their own time as soon as they figure out whether Jemmy can travel through the stones, especially after he discovers some disturbing drawings of Stephen Bonnet in Bree's notebook.
Yeah, I love the whole he wants to go back. Like, I get that for him, but I also love that he's just not like these guys. Like, I love that outcast feeling about his character. And maybe that people might find that annoying, but I find that so interesting because in this, it's like all men are supposed to be exactly the same, where like he's just so different.
But Bree isn't happy at the thought of leaving her parents behind. And speaking of Bonnet, he's in Wilmington, fighting a duel against a man who accused him of cheating. Bonnet wins, of course, but he doesn't kill his opponent. He merely blinds him, because now that he's a father, he feels he must set a good example. Let's get back to Jamie. He's returned to Fraser's Ridge, but not for long because he's got to gather a militia and head to Hillsborough as soon as possible. So he rounds up a group of men, stocks up on whiskey, and sends Fergus off to print a batch of recruitment broadsheets. Fun detail, Fergus scribbles Jamie's orders on the back of one of Claire's, Dr. Rawlings' recommendations handouts. That is going to cause some trouble. Claire decides she's coming along. Chances are they'll need a doctor. She still had no luck growing penicillin, but before they leave, she gives Marcelly instructions on what kind of mold to look out for, so she can keep the experiment going while Claire's away. Once they're on the road, Jamie finally tells Claire that Stephen Bonnet is still alive and has been spotted in Wilmington. The next morning, they catch a thief sneaking into their camp. He looks exactly like Josiah Beardsley, except there's no thief's brand on his hand. Josiah reveals that this man is his twin brother Keziah, who's deaf. The twins were both indentured to a very cruel man named Mr. Beardsley. Josiah escaped about a year ago, and now he's returned to free his brother. He begs Jamie not to send them back, and Jamie promises he'll talk to Mr. Beardsley and buy out their indentures, so they can be truly free. Jamie puts Roger in charge of leading the men to a place called Brownsville, while he and Claire head off to deal with Mr. Beardsley. What they find at the Beardsley house is straight out of a horror movie. Mr. Beardsley suffered a stroke weeks ago, leaving him paralyzed. Since then, his wife has been feeding him just enough to keep him alive, while also torturing him for his past mistreatment. Claire tries to help him, but there's little she can do. Mrs. Beardsley sneaks off in the middle of the night, leaving behind the deed to the house, the twins' indenture papers, and her newborn baby girl. Eventually, Mr. Beardsley gives Jamie permission to put him out of his misery. Afterward, Jamie and Claire decide to take the baby with them into town, hoping to find someone who can care for her. As they leave, Jamie recalls that his father died from an apoplexy, and he makes Claire promise that if he ever finds himself in that state, she'll end his suffering. Claire swears that she'll do what must be done. Meanwhile, Roger's doing his best to recruit.
I don't know if they're gonna go back to that, but really didn't want them to keep the baby. Like, I feel like we're too past that. And also, it's just like toddler storylines are hard to do to keep interesting anyways. So I'm happy that it was said, and I love that Jamie was like, let's keep this, and Claire, being smarter, was like just recognize that we never got the real shot of being parents and raising a kid, which really does suck. It would have been so nice to see, but it's too late now, and that's just not their journey, unfortunately.
More men. He even promises a poor widow that he'll bring her sons back home safe. But things go south the moment they march into Brownsville. The Brown family is ready to open fire because they've spotted a guy named Isaiah Morton in the militia's ranks. Apparently, Morton dishonored Lionel Brown's daughter Alicia, so naturally, Lionel wants him dead. Roger decides the best—
I just forgot how crazy the season gets at the end with Roger. Whoa.
course of action is to hand over Morton and dole out some Fraser whiskey to calm everyone down. Unfortunately, some of Jamie's men feel betrayed by this decision and leave the militia right then and there. Soon after, Jamie and Claire arrive in Brownsville. Claire finds a woman from the Brown family willing to adopt the Beardsley baby. At one point, Jamie and Claire considered keeping the little girl themselves, since they never got the chance to raise their own daughter together. But with that obituary hanging over their heads and war coming, they know it's not a good idea. Claire also discovers a broadsheet printed with advice from Dr. Rawlings. It seems Fergus Printer decided to run the free medical advice he found on the back of the militia advertisement. Claire's worried it might attract unwanted attention, but Jamie's got bigger problems on his hands. He's livid about the whole Morton Brown debacle, furious furious with
little
Roger for
glasses,
betraying the
so
trust of his
cute.
men. Now, Jamie has to fix Roger's mess. First, he orders Morton to marry the brown girl, except Morton can't because he's already married. To make things even more complicated, Alicia and Morton are in love, and she's expecting his baby. So Roger, Claire, and Jamie all agree to help Morton and Alicia escape.
This was
The Browns are pissed off,
interesting,
but Jamie makes it
also,
clear,
like,
if they try to
okay.
harm Morton, a member of the militia, they'd be seen as traitors
We
to the
don't
crown.
even know you.
In the end, the Browns back down and even agree to join the militia. Back at Fraser's Ridge, Brianna is horrified to hear that an Irish man has been wandering around asking questions about Jemmy. She's convinced Bonnet is planning to kidnap her son. Fortunately, Marsley is there to offer some sisterly comfort and advice. A few days later, Claire comes back to Fraser's Ridge with Roger and the Beardsley twins because Keziah's tonsils are infected and he needs surgery, and some penicillin too. Luckily, Claire's experiments have finally paid off, and she's managed to whip up some antibiotics.
love
She performs a
that.
tonsillectomy on Keziah, then does the same for Josiah, whose tonsils are also acting up. Meanwhile, Roger and Brianna carve out some quality time to reconnect. Things take a turn when Roger finds a gemstone in Bree's jewelry
I
box
feel
that
like
he's sure
she skipped the part where she thinks that Bonnet took Jemmy. That shit was so scary. I thought like that was gonna be the moment. And then we're in episode 5 right now. Then I feel like it takes a long time. It took a long time, I think maybe even too long this season to get to the Bonnet storyline.
belonged to Stephen Bonnet. That's when Bree finally confesses she visited Bonnet in prison, told him she was pregnant, and hinted that the baby might be his.
That
Roger is
was
livid.
so
He can't believe Bree has doubts
weird.
about Jemmy's parentage. Furious, he storms off and spends the night out in the woods. The next day, he comes back after getting some perspective from Claire, who reminds him that life isn't
Love
always about
that.
absolute truth. It's about cherishing the time you have together. So Bree and Roger make up, and she admits she's also learned that Bonnet is still alive, and fears he might be planning to take Jemmy. Roger tells her that they'll go back to the future as soon as they know whether Jemmy can travel through the stones. Let's get back to Jamie, who gets some interesting news when he reaches Hillsborough. The militia has been disbanded because Governor Tryon plans to pardon all the regulators, except for Murtaugh. And that's not all. Knox also reveals he's requested Ardsmere's prisoner records to track down Murtaugh's possible allies, and those records have just arrived. Jamie knows his name is on that list, so he confesses that Murtaugh is his godfather. Knox calls him a traitor and tries to arrest him. After a brief struggle, Jamie ends up killing Knox. He covers his tracks by making it look
Which I get that that's the only way, but I low-key don't like how, well, he's kind of forced in these situations and like the time, but I don't like the idea of Jamie being a killer. In this sense, obviously he has to do what he has to do, and this was great for like the drama and stuff, and I am into it. I'm rewatching season 1 and 2, and yes, obviously he's killing people in a war sense, but like he's also just so innocent and pure in a way. He's also so religious. So when he's murdering people, just feels out of character in a way, if that makes sense.
like an accident, burns the Ardsmere records,
I
and
feel
escapes,
like it
picking up a stray
wouldn't
kitten
so
along the way,
much in
which
the
he names
book.
Adso.
I
When Jamie
love
finally
it.
returns to Fraser's Ridge,
I love the
Claire tells
cat
him about
thing.
Graham Menzies, a patient she had in the future who died after an allergic reaction to penicillin. That tragedy set in motion the journey to Scotland that eventually brought her back to Jamie. A few weeks later, the action shifts to River Run, where Jocasta is getting ready to marry Duncan Innes. Before the wedding, she meets with Jamie and her lawyer, Mr. Forbes, to review her new will, which leaves River Run to Jemmy, with Jocasta as guardian until he comes of age. Later, Murtaugh shows up and asks Jocasta to wait for him, but Jocasta shuts him down, saying it's too late and she won't give her heart to a man willing to die for a lost cause. She's haunted by all she lost after the Jacobite Rebellion. 2 of her daughters were burned to death, and her husband Hector Cameron stole a box of
That
gold that
was
the King of
sick.
France sent to Charles Stuart, which led to their remaining daughter's murder. Jocasta sees Murtaugh as just another
Her-
source of heartbreak. So he leaves,
for
and she
her.
goes ahead with her marriage to Duncan. At the wedding reception, we discover that Governor Tryon is moving to New York, and he's also signed an order banning assemblies of 10 or
I
more men.
hate
Then
him.
Philip Wiley, the guy Jamie and Claire met in season 4, shows up at the reception, and he's
So
seriously obsessed
weird,
with Claire.
this
Claire's annoyed,
person.
but needs to play nice with him, especially after learning he's in
I don't
cahoots with
really
Stephen
remember
Bonnet.
him
But before
in
she can get
season
any good
4
intel,
either.
Wiley makes a blatant pass at her, and Jamie threatens to kill him. Don't worry though. In the end, Wiley agrees to arrange a meeting between whiskey purveyor Alexander Malcolm, Jamie's old alias, and Bonnet, in exchange for his beloved horse, which Jamie had won in a game of whist using the ring Frank gave Claire as collateral.
Hate
Though
to
Jamie doesn't
say
lose
it,
the
but
ring, Claire's
loved
furious. Their tension
this.
melts away later in the barn with some steamy making up. The next
Hell
day,
yeah.
we find out none of the regulators agreed to sign Tryon's pardon. So, the governor orders Jamie to gather his militia and report to Hillsborough in 2 weeks, ready for battle. We also learn that Mr. Forbes, Jocasta's lawyer, is secretly working for Bonnet, and he's aware that Jemmy could be his son, since he informs Bonnet that Jemmy is the future owner of River Run. Meanwhile, at Fraser's Ridge, a locust invasion threatens to wipe out the crops. But first, if you're enjoying this recap, please remember to
Guys,
subscribe. That really
subscribe
helps
to
me a lot.
Princess
At Fraser's Ridge, a locust
Plotline
invasion
and
threatens to
Billy.
wipe out the crops. Fortunately, Roger recalls a childhood story about using smoke to drive off locusts in the American West, and his plan works like a charm, making him an unlikely hero among the settlers. Fast forward to
So
1771 at a militia camp near Hillsborough, where the Frasers are gearing up to face the regulators. It's Jamie's 50th birthday, so he and Claire steal a passionate moment in their
His 50th birthday. I was been thinking if they're ever gonna have like a birthday episode, and I assumed it would be a Claire-centric episode, but I'm so happy it was his birthday and then he's 50, and for the 50th, like they're mentioning that. And Guys, this episode is crazy. This is really where everything turns.
Before he has to focus on the battle ahead. Jamie starts by handing out yellow cuckoats to his men to distinguish friend from foe. Then he has to smooth things over with the Browns, who are fuming after spotting Morton among the ranks. Jamie convinces them to hold their anger and allow Morton to fight. He also spends time training some inexperienced lads, trying to give them a fighting chance. Later, Jamie takes a quiet bath in a nearby lake. He recalls his old war chief Dougal and wonders how he'll face the possibility of fighting Murtagh. Meanwhile, back in town, Bree discovers the upcoming battle will take place in Alamance. Remembering from her history class that the militia wins the battle, she rushes to camp to share the news. Roger volunteers to head over to the regulators' camp to warn Murtagh that they're doomed to lose. But when he gets there, Murtagh tells him it's too late. The men are all set on fighting.
Okay, this episode, I felt it in my gut that Roger was gonna die.
On his way back, Roger bumps into his great-great-something-grandmother, Morag Mackenzie, whom he met last season on Bonnet's ship. Roger urges her to leave, telling her that she and her family will be welcome at Fraser's Ridge. But then her husband, Buck Mackenzie, shows up and misreads the situation, especially after
So I feel like someone reminded me in the comments right now and I can't fully think, but I would think that Buck would be on the Fraser's side of things. He's a Mackenzie. Like, why is he just randomly here? Oh, I feel like I should know that.
Roger's yellow cuckold. You don't want to anger this man. After all, he's Dougal and Gala's son, and unfortunately, he doesn't buy Roger's explanation, so he knocks him unconscious. Meanwhile, at Governor Tryon's request, Jamie is forced to wear a red coat, the uniform of British soldiers, a move that clearly weighs on him. Then the battle kicks off, and it's immediately obvious that the regulators are hopelessly under-equipped. Brianna and Claire tend to the wounded, including Morton, who's been treacherously shot by the Browns, who claim he was trying to run, but we all know it was revenge. Claire clashes with Lionel Brown, who's furious that a woman dares stand up to him, and ends up destroying her syringe. Amidst the chaos, Murtagh saves Jamie from a regulator attack, but seconds later, he's shot by one of the young recruits Jamie had trained. Jamie cradles his dying godfather and carries his body to Claire, hoping she might save him, but it's too late. Shattered by Murtagh's death and all the senseless slaughter, Jamie renounces his service to the crown, tossing his red coat at Tryon's feet. The Frasers then search desperately for Roger, only to find him hanging from a tree alongside
Okay, pause. I cried when Murtagh died, and that is the moment that I felt like I needed a breakdown from Jamie, and I can't believe I paused here because this is just so insane. When I saw this, I'm like, he's dead. I can't believe this. I love Roger. What is there to be after this? But let's see.
To the crown, tossing his red coat at Tryon's feet. The Frasers then search desperately for Roger, only to find him hanging from a tree alongside other doomed regulator prisoners. But don't worry, he's still alive. Jamie cuts him down from the tree. Claire performs a procedure similar to a tracheotomy on him, and thankfully, Roger pulls through. Later, we find out that Buck Mackenzie stole his cockade and handed him over to some redcoats who were hanging traitors on Tryon's orders. At the last second, just before passing out, Roger managed to slip a hand between the rope and his neck. That's what saved him.
Like, does Jamie and Claire know that Buck Mackenzie is near them?
Still, the ordeal left him seriously traumatized. 3 weeks pass, and although Roger is physically okay, he refuses to speak. He's haunted by flashbacks of the hanging, and Bree is deeply worried that the man she loves is retreating into silence. In other news, Jocasta mourns Murtagh, and Lord John arrives bearing an astrolabe as a gift for Bree, along with a 5,000-acre land grant from Governor Tryon, intended as compensation for Roger's accidental hanging. Young Ian Murray also returns to Fraser's Ridge, looking like violence. In other news, Jocasta mourns Murtagh, and Lord John arrives bearing an astrolabe as a gift for Bree, along with a 5,000-acre land grant from Governor Tryon, intended as compensation for Roger's accidental hanging. Young Ian Murray also returns to Fraser's Ridge, looking like a completely different man. Although Jamie is thrilled to have him back, it's obvious that something terrible has happened to Ian. He's as silent and haunted as Roger. When they ask him if he's going back to the Mohawk, he just shakes his head sadly. As a distraction, Jamie suggests Roger and Ian go survey the land Tryon gave Roger. But
I think we end up finding out that he got married and the wife is still alive, but I guess like they broke up or divorced. Like, I know there must be more to the story, but I find it weird. We never question him, I don't think.
As soon as they set off into the wilderness, Claire notices some hemlock missing from her medical supplies, and she's terrified Roger took it because he's not planning to come back. But it turns out that Ian is the one who tries to take his own life with a cup of hemlock tea. Roger realizes what's happening and stops him just in time. That's when
Okay, I love them bonding, and like that's when we find out about the wife situation, but I still feel there's so much story. Like, I was fully expecting this season to end with like the Indians like coming back or like trying to go after him or kill him and stuff, and we just don't know what went down, and they wouldn't let him go, so like why would they let him go now? So I'm assuming in season 6 that might unfold more, or it's not supposed to matter really.
We learn that Ian was married and lost his wife. She's not dead, just gone from his life, and Ian is desperate for relief from the pain of this loss. He's furious that Roger stopped him, because even though Roger still has Bree and their son, he clearly doesn't want to live either. That moment breaks something open. Roger starts speaking again. He admits he's been in a dark place, but he knows he has to fight to get better, and Ian should too. So they return to Fraser's Ridge, not fully healed, but much better than when they left. Autumn arrives, and the men head out to hunt bison.
Autumn.
Jamie and Roger split from the group, and while Jamie is lining up a shot, he gets bitten by a snake. Roger slices open Jamie's leg and tries to suck out the venom, then goes to find help, but he gets lost and ends up back where he started. Jamie's in rough shape, numb lips, tingling fingers, and a badly swollen wound. They decide to wait until first light before trying to make it back to the ridge. Convinced he's dying, Jamie makes a string of deathbed requests. He asks Roger to kill Stephen Bonnet, whom he regrets ever sparing.
Okay, so I mentioned wanting them to have a bonding moment. Like, this is where they feel so connected, the most connected ever, but the stakes were high, so I just can't wait, hopefully, to see their relationship grow.
To take care of Claire and to take the family back to the future. The next day, Ian and Fergus find them and manage to get Jamie onto a horse and back home.
And
Since she doesn't have a syringe,
Jamie
Claire
was
gives him
down
penicillin
with
broth
them
and uses maggots to clean out the dead
going
flesh
back to
and
the
fight the
future.
infection. Still, she worries that it might not be enough. If the infection continues to spread, Jamie could lose his leg or worse. By nightfall, Jamie is barely hanging on, and Claire pleads with him to stay with her. The next morning, things take a turn for the worse. Just as Claire is preparing to amputate Jamie's leg, Bree rushes in with her new invention, a makeshift syringe crafted from the fangs of the snake that bit Jamie. With it, Claire can finally inject the penicillin directly into Jamie's bloodstream and save his leg. Jamie pulls through, and later, he quietly admits to Claire that he had been truly ready to die. He felt himself slipping away, but he chose to stay because he knew she still needed him. Amidst the crisis, Marsley goes into labor and gives birth to a baby girl. Back in Wilmington, Bonnet and Forbes are plotting to seize control of River Run and steal Jocasta's fortune. Bonnet intends to claim Jemmy as his own son before a magistrate, then eliminate Jocasta and Duncan, so Jemmy can inherit everything. In return for his help in silence, Forbes will receive 20% of the profits. Meanwhile, Jamie arranges a meeting with Bonnet through Philip Wiley, planning to ambush him with Roger and Ian's help. But Bonnet never shows up. He's back in Wilmington, setting his own trap. He intercepts Bree and Claire at the beach. After a brief struggle, he kidnaps Brianna and whisks her away to his hideout on Ocracoke Island, off the North Carolina coast. There, he unveils his twisted plan to build a family with Bree and Jemmy and present himself as a gentleman when they move into River Run. Bree plays along and miraculously keeps herself alive, avoiding another assault by distracting Bonnet with the story of
So I think I told you guys this in the last commentary, and I feel really weird about it. But I wish in no, he's disgusting in this season. But again, there's just something about him that I wish was redeemable. But I know that there's nothing. And I don't know. If I would have written this, I would have had it where he wasn't so evil that him and Brianna could have actually gotten together and Roger met someone here. Someone, I wouldn't say Lizzie, but like that. And then he had his own girl. I think it would have been so cool for Roger to do like everything to come back to this time, but then end up meeting someone else. I just feel like that could have been even more interesting. But I do love how this season ends and the direction it all goes, but I don't know.
Moby Dick. He lets his guard down long enough to confess his recurring dream of drowning. Ultimately, though, he still doesn't trust her and decides to sell her into slavery to a man named Captain Howard. Fortunately, Jamie, Claire, and Roger have uncovered the location of Bonnet's hideout. They arrive just in time to rescue Bree, and Roger knocks Bonnet out cold. They haul him back to Wilmington, where he's sentenced to drown, but Bree takes pity on him and shoots him instead. Maybe she just wanted to make sure he was truly dead. Back at River Run, Jocasta summons her lawyer to bestow several financial gifts on him.
That's really interesting. Like I said, I didn't watch this recap, but I think I watched this part of it a little bit. I don't think she took pity on him. I think she just wanted to actually kill him herself. But what do you guys think about that? I know he had that bad dream of drowning or whatever, so I think that's what Princess Plotline meant by that, but I totally feel she wanted to kill him herself. And I honestly do love that side of Brianna. I like that she kind of really fits in this time way more than Roger, and I love that dynamic of them. I feel that's what makes them an interesting couple, actually.
Bree takes pity on him and shoots him instead. Maybe she just wanted to make sure he was truly dead. Back at River Run, Jocasta summons her lawyer to bestow several financial gifts on her family. Watching her give away what he believes is rightfully his, Forbes snaps and tries to suffocate her with a pillow. Jocasta's butler intervenes, kills Forbes.
I did the total of everything she said, and I think it was $2,900, and he was like, whoa. But I mean, obviously it's just crazy how little of money you needed to be rich in that time. Also, I was really actually scared about this. I'm shocked that she didn't die here.
Just in
and
time.
I love
Then he
him.
goes into hiding, since no one will pardon him for killing a white man. He confides in Jamie and Claire that he's actually a free man. He's had his manumission papers for some time, but chose to stay with Jocasta.
I love that.
Fast forward to autumn of 1772. The Browns show up at Fraser's Ridge with a group of rough-looking men. They're pressuring Jamie to join their new committee of safety, claiming it's meant to protect the colonists from a recent string of fires and murders in the region. Jamie, however, refuses to commit and sends them on their way. Meanwhile, Jemmy is playing with Ottertooth's opal when it suddenly breaks in his hand. Everyone in the family who can time travel hears the telltale buzzing of the stones, including Jemmy. This means Roger and Bree can finally return to their own time with their son, and that's exactly what they plan to do. Ian Ian begins to sense something's going on, so Claire decides to come clean. She tells him that she, Bree, and Roger are from 200 years in the future. Ian takes the revelation well. He even jokes that he always suspected Claire might be a fairy.
I love that.
Lord John is also preparing to leave. He's returning to England because Lord Dunsany, Isabel's father, has died, and young William will need his guidance. John agrees to take Jocasta's butler with him, and because he even jokes that he always suspected Claire might be a fairy. Lord John is also preparing to leave. He's returning to England because Lord Dunsany, Isabel's father, has died, and young William will need his guidance. John agrees to take Jocasta's butler with him and promises to free him once they arrive in England. He also gives Jamie a portrait of William. In a heartfelt moment, Jamie shows it to Brianna and tells her that William is her brother. He confesses how much both his children mean to him, even if he might never see either of them again, since Bree and Roger are leaving in a week. The emotional goodbyes continue as Bree shares the news of their departure with Marsley, Fergus, Lizzie, and
alert, but I fully thought they were gonna leave. I guess I thought we would see them again, but I'm shocked that what happened. Didn't expect them to like do this whole goodbye thing for nothing. I also can't believe Lizzie's like not in this.
Did a teaching job at a university in Boston. Ian agrees to accompany them to the Stones, and Roger hands him the deed to his land from Governor Tryon, asking Ian to look after it. They all share one last family dinner, and the next morning,
the Boston storyline of why they're leaving just reminded me that I really thought, and I guess I could still see it happening, Brianna becoming a teacher or something. I remember Roger saying something, they were in bed, and then he was kind of like, I don't actually mean it. I was surprised that that scene happened to then have nothing come out of it.
Morning, Bree, Roger, and Jemmy set off with Ian. The journey to the Stones will take 2 weeks. While they're gone, disaster strikes. Lionel Brown and his men blow up the whiskey still, furious that Jamie refused to join their committee. They're also enraged because Lionel Brown has discovered that Claire is the mysterious Dr. Rawlings, who's been advising their wives on how to avoid pregnancy by not sleeping with their husbands during their fertile days. With the richest men away investigating the explosion, Lionel Brown and his men storm the house, knock out Marsley, and kidnap Claire. When Jamie learns what's happened, he lights the fiery cross to summon his men. Meanwhile, Bree, Roger, and Jemmy finally reach the Stones. They tie themselves together, hand out gemstones, and just like that, they disappear. But they don't go far. They land in a pile of leaves, just a few away. It turns out that when Bree and Roger touch the Stones, they were thinking about going home, and Fraser's Ridge is their home now.
See,
on their way
if I didn't watch the recap to that, I would have been confused why it didn't work.
Back, Bree and Roger spot the fiery cross burning on the hilltop. When they arrive at the house, Jamie breaks the news. Claire's been kidnapped. He's already preparing the rescue, and Roger, Ian, Fergus, and the rest of the Ridge men all volunteer to go with him. Meanwhile, Claire is living a waking nightmare. She's been beaten, gagged, and held captive by Lionel Brown and his crew. Then one of the men, called Wendigo Donner, approaches her. He's a time traveler from 1968 who came through the Stones with a group of Native Americans, including Otter Tooth, whose real name was Robert Springer. Donner figured Claire was a traveler too, based on the medical advice she'd been giving. Plus, he also heard her use the phrase, Jesus H. Roosevelt Christ. Claire begs him to help her escape, offering gemstones and the location of a stone circle in exchange. But he's too afraid of the others to risk it. Later that night, things take a horrific turn. Lionel and his nephew assault.
Jamie should say it. There should be a moment where he says it and Claire's like what?
Claire, and the rest of the men follow. It's a brutal scene. Claire retreats into her mind to escape the horror, imagining a peaceful Thanksgiving in the 60s, surrounded by family.
This might have been like heaven. I was like, where are we going right now? I'm so scared. But it was just her kind of tricking her brain, and her getting essayed was crazy. There's a lot of backlash I've seen about the essay thing. Like, obviously essay like isn't like good. Like, I feel like this show gets hate for that happening a lot, but I almost feel like it probably really did happen a lot back in this day. And I mean, it's in the book, so it's just following the book, so I don't really fully get the hate. Like, obviously it could be written out, but it really is so crazy how many times it's happened to Claire. Like, it's almost, I get that it's okay enough, but it also just makes sense. I don't know. I guess I really didn't think about it that much. The fact that it happened to Brianna is crazy. I get it, I do.
But even that fantasy turns dark when she envisions policemen arriving to say Bree, Roger, and Jemmy were killed in a car crash. Just as she's about to lose all hope, Jamie and the Ridge men storm the camp. They kill everyone, except Lionel, who they take back for questioning, and Donner, who managed to escape. Back at the Ridge, Claire collapses into Bree's arms, and Marsley comforts her too. Claire is shattered but determined. She's been through hell, but she refuses to let it break her.
She's exactly... I hope that was truly the last time of the show. It is enough now, and it's not going to break her. I want her to be so more badass than ever moving forward, because they've been through so much. It's insane. And I'm also so curious about when her hair is white, she's going to be the most powerful she's ever been. Like, what the hell does that mean in a non-supernatural show? Yes, fantasy, but fantasy light. We've talked about this. Don't tell me, guys. I'm so excited for season 7.
Later, Lionel Brown starts running his mouth, threatening to kill Marsley and everyone else on the Ridge. But Marsley's had enough of this guy, so she injects him with a syringe full of hemlock, and he dies.
How did they
Jamie
get
takes
that
Lionel's body
syringe?
back to Brownsville as a courtesy. Richard Brown listens as Jamie explains what Lionel did. He seems to accept it for now, but it's clear this isn't the last we'll hear from him. As the season
That
draws to a
annoyed
close,
me.
explains what Lionel did.
He brought your dumbass brother. You know your brother's a dumbass, I'm sure. Ugh, I'm not really feeling fueled by them being like the next season's big bad. I hope that's like a one episode thing. Oh my god, I can't wait to watch season 6 after this.
As the season draws to a close, a fragile peace has settled over Fraser's Ridge, but it won't last. Bree and Roger are glad the stones brought them back, because in the end, home is wherever they're together. Claire stands bruised but unbroken, looking at her family as a storm breeze in the
I have
distance, a
chills.
symbol of the American Revolution, which is just around the corner. Jamie and Claire are ready to face it together, as always. Jamie tells Claire that if death ever
so
parts them,
that's
and
the
his last
next
words
big
are not,
thing.
I love you, it'll only be because he didn't have time to say it. That night,
They
they
don't
lie in
say
each
it
other's arms
enough.
after making love. And Claire tells Jamie she finally feels safe. And that's it for season 5 of
I have
Outlander. Please stay
chills, I
tuned for
have
the
chills.
next Outlander recap.
I
And
also keep seeing this person and I have to like, I don't know. Alright guys, that is it for this recap. I'm very, very curious about season 6 and like the rest of the show. So happy we'll be doing season 7 together. Ugh, I can't wait. Yeah, I guess I talked a lot more in this one than I was expecting, but if you like these recaps and you're excited, like I've said, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already given me a ranking of the seasons, I love a ranking. And yeah, I'm interested what you think makes this a better season than specifically 4, or like, I guess whichever way you think. Like if this is your favorite season, what is it about this season? Because that's really cool to hear. No hate, like I love the show. The Roger thing was insane. This season has its moments, and I guess the Roger thing was crazier than anything that happened in season 4. Maybe, don't quote me on that. But also, if there's a lot of Roger haters, I wouldn't think that they would like this season then as much. I don't know. All right, I hope to see you very soon in the next one. I don't know how soon I will be back, but hit the bell notifications and I will talk to you guys soon. It's Billy, bitch.